Yes, everyone. So I used to be the person with about 50 unfinished books on my shelf. I used to buy a book, get excited, read the first chapter, and then slowly and surely I just stopped reading it. It'd sit there on my shelf, just absolutely judging me. I tried everything, reading challenges, accountability partners, even putting books on my bedside table, thinking just because it's close to me, then it'd magically make me read them. And all of them did work for a while, but nothing stuck. Then I discovered this one equation that changed absolutely everything for me. It's called the discipline equation. So it turns out I wasn't lazy, I wasn't undisciplined, I was just solving the wrong problem. So once I understood how to maximize my enjoyment, strengthen my why, and eliminate my friction, reading became as automatic as checking my phone. I went from struggling to finish one book a month to generally looking forward to read every single day. And the crazy part is it had nothing to do with my willpower. So in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly how to apply this equation to reading so it feels as addictive as scrolling on your phone. Okay. So this is a discipline equation. So it's a psychological enjoyment of the task plus the strength of the why minus the friction. So there's 3 different variables. All of them are going to add up to 10. So obviously if we go through the actual equation, these two needs to be higher and this needs to obviously be the lowest it can be in order for the action to be consistent. Okay, so the reasons why I actually enjoy this method is because it's an extremely simple model. It's instantly usable. You know, we can use it for every different aspects of our lives. We can use it for reading, going to the gym, and just things like that. So in this system here, we can see as us not reading as a systematic problem as opposed to, oh, it's just motivation or it's just willpower. Okay, so let's go for an example. So at the moment, I'm going through How to Win Friends and Influence People, the OG book, my first ever book. So let's just say, I'm gonna make this up, this isn't my figures, but let's say you make it up. So let's say if you're reading this and your level of enjoyment is a 4, you know it's a good book, but as you're reading it, it's a little bit too boring, or it could actually be just a little bit too serious for your liking. So we add a plus, so we can move on to the whys. So the reason why you're reading it, you know, it's got really good principles, it's got really good concepts. The topic itself is valuable for you at this specific point of your life. So you could say out of 10, it's a 9, so it's really, really high. And then if you go on to friction, you know, you could say that you're not really enjoying the book as much. It's something that, you know, you really struggle with to read. So we're gonna say -8. Look at that 8. Whoa, that's a sexy 8. So yeah, if we obviously run it through our equation, so that's a 5. That's 5, isn't it? That's 5. Quick maths. I think that's 5. Yes, that is 5. Right, so that's 5. So this is a low score. So out of 20, 5 out of 20, that's the reason why you're inconsistent. So what we need to do is identify where we can improve. So we obviously need to improve the enjoyment of the thing. We need to get this up to closest to 10 as much as we can. We also need to reduce the friction. So we need to find ways to make this easy to do. The why is pretty strong, 9 out of 10. You don't really need to look at that too much. If we just focus on these two, then this would allow obviously our overall score to go up, meaning the consistency is a lot better. Okay, so we've identified obviously the enjoyment needs to go up. So here are a couple of ways to improve that enjoyment. The first one is the choice of book. Now, you might know that How to Win Friends and Influence People, it's got some good context in here and it's got some good insights and, you know, different things in here that you can actually enjoy. But the way it's written, you don't actually enjoy it. So that's one thing I've actually had with books before is I need the concepts in there, but I fucking hate reading it. For some reason, it's like the way it's written, the way it's wrote. I don't know, is it wrote or written? I don't know, fuck knows. Either way, the choice of book, it could just be the way the author writes the book. Sometimes it's just a bit, not really a massive fan. Another way is, so you can interpret visual learning inside that as well. So you can go on short form or Blinkist and you can find ways to learn more visually as opposed to just reading the text, you know, word by word or doing that stuff. So you can add, you know, that visual part of your learning that can drive the enjoyment up. Or you can do a little psychological hack that I've spoke about in previous videos. So basically what you do is you give yourself a reward after you read. So it becomes a little bit of a ritual thing that you do. It's a little bit of a hack to say, look, I'm going to read 30 minutes of this book and then after I get to watch my favorite TV show, I get to play on my Xbox, I get to do something that I really, really enjoy. So I'm going to use it as I guess, a device to, you know, give me more dopamine. So that's just a couple of different ways how you could raise the psychological enjoyment. So you can do you can be more consistent in that final score. Okay, so if we look at ways to increase the why, the only thing I can really think of, the relatability the book has to your life. So for me personally, you know, I'm not going to be reading books on like how to build a fence, because that's got no relatability to me in that specific period of my life. Maybe if I take up gardening, maybe if I take up landscaping, I will read books on how to build a fence. At this moment in my life, that has no relatability to me. Like reading books on how to build a fence is like, why the fuck am I going to do that? So I think the main way to increase your why is just to have that book to be extremely relatable to your life. Like if you're struggling in your business, you know, and you want to get more clients, you're obviously going to be reading more books that are related to sales or marketing, as opposed to like branding and, you know, positioning. It's going to be mostly on sales. So the best way to increase your why for me is to make it as relatable to your situation as possible. So if we go to ways of reducing the friction, which is probably the most important thing out of this whole equation. So the first thing we want to do is create rituals. So that's like reading the same time every single day, you know, having the same reading environment that you do every single day. I think this helps prime our brains into, right, I'm in reading mode, I need to, you know, get in the mode of things. So I think creating rituals is a way to reduce friction, just because it just helps. Like when you know exactly what you're going to do at the exact time in the exact environment, it helps, man. Fucking helps. So the lazy rule, so that's something that I've just come up with. It's just a lazy rule. So you read a minimum amount of like 2 pages a day, every single day. So starting that initial thing becomes just a lot easier. Like if you want to work out and you can't be able to go to the gym because that friction is high, you just say, well, I'm going to do 10 push-ups as soon as I wake up or something. Like it's just something to get you going. Some days you'll do 2 pages, some days you'll do 50 pages. It's just the way it is. Life happens sometimes, shit happens. And you know, it's just a good way of reducing that friction. Audiobooks. Now, this is probably the most common tip on this whole channel. Have the audiobook with the physical book. You're mixing 2 different senses. So you're reading, you're obviously using your eyes, and then obviously you're listening as well. So I think that's the best way to read, to be honest. Best way to read. Okay, so if you're asking what score do I aim for, I'm gonna tell you now. So if you want to be basically an addictive psychopath cracker that literally reads every single day without question, without fail, you're going to be looking at this 15 to 20% mark. So you want at least 15 out of 20 to literally just read every single day. It's completely obsessive, and you're basically addicted. Your enjoyment is very high, your why is very high, and your friction is very low. 15 to 20 is like addictive zone. But you know, if you score around, you know, 10 to around 14, then it's sustainable. You know, it's not automatic, but maybe you read like 3 to 4 times a week. Maybe you're traveling, you're doing things. It's sustainable, but it's not going to be that addictive behavior. You're looking around 10 to 14. So inconsistent, you're looking around 0 to 9. So this is when you literally read once, maybe twice a week, not even that. And it just, like, you're just so inconsistent. The friction's probably way too high. If it's around this, your why is probably not big enough. So you're probably reading how to build fences, to be honest. So the relatability is just not there. So you need to figure out a way to raise the why and read books that actually are, you know, relatable to your life at that specific moment. And then anything below 0 is just like, you're just avoiding it at all. Like, that's not even a score, like just nil and void. But obviously if we want to aim for 15 to 20, then this is obviously how you build a habit. This is how it sticks, and it just makes reading just more addictive. So let's say you've tweaked this equation. You know, you're reading more, it feels automatic. But the next problem is you finish the book and then you forget everything in it. So in this video here, I show you exactly how to remember everything you read. No memorization, no complicated systems, just one simple shift that will change the game for you. So I'll see you in the next video. Peace.